Matthew, the 15th chapter, and the 21st verse. Is what we're going to be looking at tonight. Y'all have to excuse me, I'm a little hoarse, but I'm going to try to teach and talk my way through it. And tonight I want to examine spiritual sensitivity. Spiritual sensitivity. It's a subject that I don't think that we touch upon much in the church, even though sermons are preached around it and about it of sorts, and we've been taught about it in many ways, and certainly the Bible is full of spiritual sensitivity. But the whole concept of it has not really been directly taught on a whole scale level, but it is in truth greatly missed in the church. We like, when we speak about Jesus, he is our role model, and we like to look at his character, and we like to look at his mannerisms and the way that he treated others, not just friends, but also those who would be his enemies and those who had ulterior motivations, and how with wisdom and love and mercy he dealt with them, even in their denials, in their betrayals, and in their setups. He was still godly and holy. But I uncovered a passage of scripture tonight that when you look at it on the outside, and perhaps if you follow it as though it were happening and unfolding in your eyes presently, it would lead you to wonder about Jesus's spiritual sensitivity at that particular moment. And so what I want you to do is, it's okay to go ahead and read it in advance, but I still want to look at this in a step-by-step, as though it was happening right before our eyes. Because it makes me, here's my question: at what point in my dealings with my brothers and sisters, at what point do I lose my spiritual sensitivity towards my brothers and my sisters? And is it all right to lose spiritual sensitivity? And can people really be expected to be sensitive all the time with each other? I mean, is that realistic? Or is it really practical? And well, let me look at the text. Matthew, the 15th chapter, the 21st verse. Then Jesus went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. I want to pause. Let's play that in real time, and let's remember those who are assembled at this point. Jesus is there. The disciples are there. They have been preaching and ministering all day. And then at some point, they travel from where they are to where the scripture begins, where the text begins, in Tyre and Sidon, the coast of Tyre and Sidon. Now, I want to put a marker here because I'm a man, I'm a human. And sometimes I'm tired. I don't have the battery inside of me that goes on and on and on and on. And I'm sure I'm not the only one at the table who can relate to that. After a certain time, especially if there has been some kind of physical exertion upon me, my body grows weary. My mental alertness begins to dim. And those things begin to equate to my patience getting shorter. My tolerance level decreases with the level of fatigue that I may be in. If you catch me in the morning when my mind is fresh and when my spirit has been invigorated by a night's rest, you may have a better chance with my long suffering than you will in the midnight hour after the day has worked its work on me. And so my level of, and here is what we're talking about, my level of spiritual sensitivity is sometimes mistakenly connected with my level of physical vibrancy. I said mistakenly connected or inadvertently connected. My spiritual sensitivity, so that if we had a business meeting in the morning, I might be a better pastor to you than if we have a business meeting in the evening. Y'all follow me what I'm saying? You're better sometimes with your children early in the morning than you are late at night because there's an exertion that works on you. There's a decrease in sensitivity as a whole, and that includes our spiritual sensitivity with others and even with ourselves. So I put a marker here on the 21st verse because I need you to understand that the disciples and Jesus had already been ministering. They were traveling, and between ministering and traveling, there had to be some level of fatigue. In my mind, they come to a point of the day where they are ready to end the day's services, the ministry. They are tired and ready to get some rest and resign for the day so that they might be able to get up early in the morning and begin the work of the ministry. The 22nd verse then says, and behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast where they had traveled to, and cried unto them, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. I believe everybody at the table will agree that her request is valid. She has not come asking for money. She has not come asking for all of this. She's asking not even for herself, but rather she's asking for her daughter. Now, I'm saying this because I want you to think about your own life, and I want you to begin to think about where you are spiritually. And in your mind, I want you to be honest with yourself and say, at what point in the midst of this conversation, in the midst of this setting, at what point would you spiritually check off and become insensitive? Spiritually. At what point in the process, at what point in the presence of the text, would you spiritually say it's okay for the response that I see before me? At what point? Let me qualify it some. Go ahead, Dave. No, I want you to begin to add because there are multiple times as we go through as the text progresses, there are multiple times where people at different levels of spiritual sensitivity will check off and say, that's when I would have drawn the line and defaulted to insensitivity. Now, all of us would like to believe that in every need case, in every situation, we will always be alert and ready to give the greatest spiritual sensitivity to our brothers and sisters. But keeping it real, that ain't so. Because here they've traveled. They've already ministered. The door of the church is closed. The benediction has already been given. The crowds have been dismissed, and they have left. And Jesus didn't have a home per se, but in a sense, they have left, in the metaphor, they have left the church and gone home. And here, this woman comes to the house. I'm trying to keep it where we can relate. This woman now comes to the house, and she knocks on the door at a time when I'm ready to watch the game, eat dinner, and maybe take a nap. And she knocks on the door and she says, I got a problem. Now I want you to stay with me, because this whole text for me is not answered completely and thoroughly in my spirit. It still shakes and it still moves me, because it helps me to see my own insensitivity when it comes to the spiritual needs of others, because I do have them. My preference is that whenever I am called upon to render a service to someone spiritually, my preference is that I'm able to do that in my comfort zone, or at a certain allotted time, or at a certain allotted place, or something that is not so sacrificing. Come on, dude.
Let me ask you something. Are you sometimes Christian? Or are you all time?
I'm always a Christian.
Okay. And answer your own question.
No, I'm not asking a question. I'm not asking a question that I want you to answer. I'm asking a rhetorical question.
We don't have a sometimes God.
And he filling the sea with real people.
We're not sometimes Christian. When God calls upon us, it's not the lady that's calling, it's God that's calling us.
Okay.
At that time.
Okay.
Pastor Ed,
Hold on. What you said sounded good. But now, can I not turn around and say, is not our God a God of decency and orderliness?
I understand that.
If God is a God of decency and orderliness, then this woman's request should have been made I'm keeping it in the metaphor that I built. This woman's request should have been made at an appropriate time when it is known that I'm available.
I don't think so.
Yeah, y'all don't. The answers that you're giving.
If someone comes and asks for prayer, we should pray for them.
All right, that sounds good. But you ain't gonna be as happy to pray for them if they come knock on your door in the moment when you having relations with your wife. See, I got to keep it. I got to keep it real. I'm trying to get you to,
Relations with my wife.
sir.
If I come to the door, I'm not having relations with
And you ain't very happy because you've been interrupted.
and I am going to pray for
But you're not hearing what I'm saying.
I am going to
I'm not asking you, will you go ahead and minister? That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, or is your level of sensitivity as excited as it would be any other time?
excited.
Yeah.
What does that mean? It's not about me.
Yeah. Okay. Come on.
On a sensitive part, do you, or is there some Sundays you just don't feel like getting up, coming to church? You know, just you, yourself. You know it's a thing for you to do. You know when they say you have to press your way?
And you're going to do it. You're going to do it. You're going to come to church. He's not asking you if you're going to come. He's asking you, are there some Sundays when you really don't feel like going to church?
Feel like I'm too tired to come to church?
Whatever reason.
You don't feel like getting out of bed, whatever reason.
Okay, so
I didn't feel like coming to Bible.
hey, keep it real, baby.
So that's where the sensitivity part come in. You feel where you're coming from, you're looking at the picture you paint.
So let me. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time trying to bring him there. We kind of got to move on. I understand you are right in what we should do, but sometimes we don't always do what we should do with the same enthusiasm that we should have. Sometimes I ain't feeling it on the same level as I may feel it other times. In this particular situation, I believe the disciples were not very happy because they knew they had already opened themselves and made themselves available in the ministry, and the crowds had been dispersed, and this was a time where the master needs some time apart from all of this. Even the recommendation was given to Moses at one time. You're doing too much, man. They're wearing you out. You need to use some wisdom. And so here it is. Here it is. So look, she comes to him and she makes this request to him. Now, does your spiritual sensitivity say it's okay for you to let this one go by because we've already had church? Do you prefer an opportunity to minister or to be used? Do you defer it and say, look, we're going to be there Wednesday night at 6:30. Come Wednesday night at 6:30, and then we're going to look at this thing at that time, because that's, in a sense, that's another time in which the doors are going to be open. Or do you say, come back Sunday? We're going to have some more people there. We'll be able to look at this thing some more. Or give it to me and let me, or you know, it's time and fatigue Are those good reasons to not be so sensitive and caring about a request? I know you don't want to say yes, and you may not say yes, but I know me, and I know man, and I know that there are times when, and God knows the truth, when I defer a need because I'm tired and because I believe I can put it off to another time. Here's the second point. Now, I want you to see this because this is real in the text. Because I told you, Jesus' actions, as if this were happening presently in front of me, Jesus' actions would confuse me. Jesus' response almost seems to validate what I'm feeling. Because at other times when people have come to him, the woman at the well, the man that was blind, others who were hungry would come and mob him, and Jesus would minister to them on the spot. But here comes this Canaanite woman, and Jesus does something in Scripture that I personally have never seen him do before. Listen what he says to this woman. When this woman makes this request known to him, here is, note Jesus' initial response. A woman comes from him, she's from Canaan. She comes to him, she makes her request known. Jesus says nothing. I remember now, we talked about when Jesus said nothing and he wrote in the dirt one time before concerning a woman that had been brought to him who had been found in the act of adultery. And Jesus didn't say anything. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, but in this particular text, this is not a woman that was considered a sinful woman. She was not found committing any act against the law. So why is it that Jesus says nothing? He cannot say that he didn't hear the woman's request. But he says nothing. When people don't even respond to something that you have required of them, that seems to suggest to me insensitivity. Y'all don't want to talk. Somebody say something. I'm trying to find out what in the world. I know I read the entire text, but I'm telling you, don't fast forward through the whole entire text. I want you to pretend as though this was happening before you. You're one of the disciples and you're watching Jesus. This woman comes from out of Cana. We don't know her from any other woman. She comes up here after the church service is over and making a request of ministry of Jesus. And we don't even know as the disciples what Jesus is. Jesus going to say, well, okay, let's go find your daughter. We don't know what Jesus is going to do. We don't know what he's going to say. And so when the woman speaks, we don't interrupt her because she has already established contact with Jesus. And in our, listen to this, in our respect and reverence for the Messiah, we shut our mouths. Because he has the first response. And Jesus says nothing. No, don't. I want you to feel the moment before you speak on it. He says nothing. He says nothing. So this is an awkward moment because here we are, the disciples. We don't know how to assist Jesus. We don't know what to do. But watch this here. Every one of us are feeling some kind of way. Yeah, we all feel in some kind of way. When something is brought to the church and laid down at the table as a consideration for ministry, everybody who knows about the situation on whatever level forms some kind of opinion. And we all come up with some kind of thought in our mind. Either this is the way this situation should be handled. I don't particularly like this person. I don't. Is this a real situation? Is this a bona fide need? Or is this something I need to let Rev handle? You know, we all have thoughts on it. And so here Jesus has said nothing. And so he has allowed for us to think. So I want to pause you. I'm going to give you the microphone. What are you thinking now? What's going on in your mind? Jesus is not saying anything. We know that he heard the lady because he looked at her when she was talking. The woman looks at Jesus after the request has been made known, waiting for an answer. Jesus does not respond. Now she's turning her eyes and looking at us because she does not know what a moment like this, what the protocol might be. This is my first time coming to Jesus making a request. I don't even know him like this. I came because I heard about him. And so here I am because I feel very fervently for my daughter. And I've come to make this request known because I know that what she's struggling with is something spiritual. And so nobody can seem to help her. No medicine I can buy, nothing I could do has prevailed over these demons in her. And I heard that here is a man who might be able to help. And so I prayed to come to him, even though I know he's a Jew. Number one. And number two, I know he's a man. So here I am, a woman that is a Gentile approaching a Jew. So I'm off limits. I'm out of bounds. I'm doing stuff that's illegal of sorts. I'm breaking against the custom. And so when I spoke to the rabbi, when I spoke to the Messiah, when I spoke to the head, he looked at me and said nothing. And now I got all 12 of these disciples' eyes looking at me.
So what's your question?
I don't know what to, if you're the disciple, what are you thinking?
Because first of all, the disciples are looking at him because he's not saying nothing because they're automatically expecting him to have an answer. So let's just turn it around.
Okay, they are expecting him to have an answer. You're right. You're right. That's why they shut up. That's why they said nothing. Because they knew that the first responder at that moment, since she had already made her way through them to him and had already made her request known, by reverence and protocol, they shut their mouths and wait for him. But he said nothing and looked like he wasn't going to respond. Looked like he was almost waiting for something. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, let's slow it down. I want to use the same two scenarios you gave. When both times in both different texts that you gave, the woman when the woman was caught in adultery, and this text right here, Jesus was quiet. Jesus understood the situation. There was a lot of emotions going on. My disciples tired. He understood that. And when he did choose to speak, in both texts, he didn't speak to the woman first. He checked his disciples.
Just hold on. I don't go too fast on me.
Come on,
I know you want to jump in on that, but I want to know, what are you, the disciples, thinking now?
Well, we understand. We vet, Tom. Come on.
But the thing that we have fast forwarded on and have really analyzed is, here's the deal. And I put it on the table earlier, just a little while ago, and that is, we have all formulated some opinions about this moment. So I'm pausing this because I need us to understand that when we sit down at the table together and we are considering what to do about whatever, I need for all of us to remember that everybody at the table are subject to individual ideas, thoughts, and feelings. And if we don't come to the table with that understanding and giving our brothers and sisters the spiritual sensitivity to be who they are without condemning them, we open the door for chaos and for the enemy. Brian's response may be different from my response. His level of sensitivity spiritually, his level of experience, his level of thoughts and his own relationship is going to be different than mine, than Benny Landers, than Deacon Spriggs and Brother Mia and all. We're going to be different. So when we sit down at the table, we need to understand that ain't no disciple here just like the other. That's the point I want to bring out. Ain't nobody here. And so watch this. I have just as much rights at this table as anybody else. Jesus pauses. And in my mind, a benefit of the pause is to give people the opportunity to make their own assessments, to go ahead and state their position and be ready to represent their level of spiritual sensitivity.
His disciples made their decision. They say get rid of him.
Hold on, I just need that to kind of, David, you shaking your head, come on.
No, man, he didn't give that moment for everybody to place their own opinion. That moment wasn't given that for self to be able to step in and take control, and for you to get in your feelings and get emotionally attached to how you feel. Was she a woman, or she from Canaan? We don't even supposed to be dealing with her. That wasn't the purpose. Although that would happen. That's probably what happened. Different opinions set in and people took it, but that's not why the moment was given. The moment wasn't given. Matter of fact, the moment ain't had nothing to do. They were supposed to be praying, to be honest, because that's what he was doing. He was waiting on a word from the
I want to know, in your opinion, Dave, why does he pause?
Because he wanted to hear from him.
Hold on. He was already one with him.
He might have already been one with him, but he understood
The Bible does not say. The Bible does not say.
He understood the sincerity of the time. He understood how powerful this moment was. He understood that he was physically vexed. And he was a man. He understood that. So he had to gather himself together. He had to pull back.
So you think he pauses for himself?
Yes.
Deacon Lander. His hand was up.
Last week you had told us when Jesus paused, it was time for us to shut up. In your opinion, what is Jesus saying?
That's what I'm asking. I'm not. I know you asking me the question, but I'm asking you the question first.
That's what I'm asking me.
Okay.
What is Jesus?
So I'm asking you to answer the question.
To me, Jesus
He said, Jesus said,
Brother Mayor.
on the Lord.
Huh?
Jesus is saying, wait
he said, Jesus.
So you think that Jesus pauses
Shut up.
in we did this a couple of weeks ago and the laughter couldn't stop. Jesus.
Oh no.
There it is. Whoop, there it is. But Jesus pauses. And I'm saying to you, I'm glad he pauses. I'm glad he does not immediately respond. He pauses. And the pause to me is needful because I think sometimes the scripture may send out a very wonderful message that basically says, you better pause before you respond, lest your response not be spiritually sensitive.
could that go with over enthusiasm?
It could go with over enthusiasm. But that could be that. Overly enthusiastic people can become spiritually insensitive. However, in this particular case, they are not overly enthusiastic for ministering to her. They are overly enthusiastic for getting rid of her.
What about overly enthusiastic for knowing what Jesus is showing them there?
No, they're not enthused. See, here's the deal. And I don't even think that the disciples, based upon their response coming up, I don't even think that the disciples were so caught up in watching Jesus bless this woman. I believe that the disciples were annoyed at her presence. Yeah. So much so that, listen, I believe that they didn't take the opportunity that the pause presented to pray, but rather they took the opportunity that the pause presented to pray. Wait a minute. What did I just say? The pause was an opportunity. And they decided, instead of praying, they prayed. Because praying, the first way would have been P-R-A-Y. But they P-R-E-Y. They pounced upon her like she was prey. They vetted on her. They exploded on her. They vented on her. She became the scapegoat for their negativity that the moment had even come. Oh, I need y'all. I just wish I had somebody who would just take a little time to look at that thing, because on the real, I see myself doing this sometimes, and it's an aggravation in my spirit. Whenever instead of pausing to pray about the moment that is in front of me, the opportunity for ministry, instead of pausing to pray, P-R-A-Y, I pause and then jump on to pray. Yeah, man, I blow that thing up. Now listen, listen. But he answered her not a word. Listen, even in the same verse, the 23rd verse, look what it says. And I like it that's in the same verse, because it's almost like once the pause came, bam, they ain't even hold that for long. They jumped right in. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, send her away, because she's a pest. Hold on. Don't fast forward. Look at this. And his disciples came and besought him. Here's a key word for me, besought. If I kind of look at it a little more. Besought almost seems to suggest to me that they pulled him to the side. Y'all with me on this end? They pulled him to the sidewalk. Because when people don't want to be bold enough to do it in the presence, they will beseech you in a sidewalk meeting. They'll pull you to the side so that they can put their results, their opinions, their feelings, their thoughts privately on the table of your mind, but they won't be bold enough to do it on the table in the presence. And this was this. They besought him. And they were serious, and they wanted him. Now, here's my question: do they have a legitimate position to make the request that he send her away? And they describe her as one who cried after. It means she ain't just gonna go. She's a pest. In her seems to be this I don't give a care about others' opinion of me. I don't care about your protocol. I don't care about what you used to. I have a one-track mind. I'm determined to accomplish what I came here for. And so that will vex me and cause me to become spiritually insensitive. What happens when people become a botheration to the ministry? What you say? Say it again, man. Yes, you can say it. Yeah, you want to get rid of her.
He probably thought she was a pest.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Nobody likes flies, and almost worse than flies, gnats. Really? Or a leech? Yes. Gnat flies, leeches, and gnats give us a license to become spiritually insensitive. Did I just say that? I don't even know that I like that. That didn't taste right in my mouth. But I'm giving you. Listen, flies. Y'all ain't give a second thought about the life of a fly that you killed, did you? If you do this here and kill a gnat, you happy you got it. Right?
They move too slow.
If you can peel off a leech, even if you got to throw him on somebody else, you happy. Oh, y'all don't want. I'm just trying to keep it. So then, why is it that that's okay?
Nobody like to tussle with stuff like that. Nobody don't want to be bothered with that. It's vexation to self. I mean, it don't feel good. But I understand what you're saying when you see the same people go up to prayer every Sunday.
Listen. Them people got problems, and I'm better than them.
That's how you, yeah.
Oh, so yeah.
That's
Oh, you know. Ah.
You feel like that? That's basically what you're saying.
Don't. Isn't that how we check off and go with the insensitive flow? Oh, Lord.
Being real. Here they go again.
Here they
Make it turn
Yeah.
all on. Yeah, that's real.
Yes.
Oh, they was up there last week.
Yes. Oh.
But that's what you're doing. You saying you better than them.
Oh. Am I really saying that? I'm not really trying to say that, but is it, or is that
That's what's right.
what I'm saying? Am I saying? No. Now comes the resistance in my spirit. No, I ain't saying that. I'm saying that those people have a problem, and if they would just rise up and be more responsible and do what's right,
I'll catch real about the church.
and do what's right, then the gnats will go away.
I'll catch real about
Right?
It's not always easy, but sometimes you in a hurry.
I see you over there waving that flying wig. I caught you.
Sometimes you're in a hurry to do something, or you're doing something and you have a chance to witness to this brother or sister, but you want to get what you're doing and they seem to be there. You got a chance to
Waiting for
witness to them, but you want to get what you're doing done, and you got a choice. Either stop what you're doing and witness to them, or keep going fast to what you wanted to do, and you got a choice.
Yes.
But you don't always.
You know, listen. Don't get me wrong. For criers, this woman, they call her a cry. She's gonna cry. She crying after us. She ain't going away. Don't get me wrong. I wish that I could give one tissue and they will go away for a long time. But these criers,
Keep on coming.
you give them a tissue, they blow it and chuck it. Want another. You're not going through a whole box of tissues for this one crier, and now you got to go buy another one. What about all these other people who got a couple sniffles? This one crier using up all the tissue. That ain't right. Is it right? Is it right to give so much to a crier? That ain't right. Nobody, y'all don't want to say it. Y'all don't want to talk back to me. It ain't right to just keep on giving to a crier. And they ain't gonna never go away and never come back another day. So, it's okay for me to become callous, rough, and insensitive. Because that's how you got to handle flies. Yeah. Even look, you got family members. Family members. Then you start, and then things come to your mind like, well, they just taking me for granted. They using me, and I refuse to be used. Or, well, could it be real? Oh, well, could it be wisdom? Oh, so there are no users in the world. Are there users in the world?
That's what the devil does to you.
Benny Landry. Benny Landry. Benny Landry.
You're not good enough.
Benny Landry. Benny Landry. Benny Landry. Benny Landry. And I ain't trying to be funny. If every time I saw you, yeah, I said, give me a cigarette. Knowing your spirit, you gonna give. Let me finish. Knowing your spirit, you gonna give me a cigarette. Watch. So I come to your house at 2 a.m. Give me a cigarette, and you'll give it to me. The next night.
Oh, no.
And I do that every night. You can't look me in the face and tell me every night you're going to jump up immediately with a smile and run to the door and say, here it is. No, listen to me. Okay, hold on. What if it's your last cigarette? What if it's your last cigarette? You give it to me. Every time.
What did they ask you for?
Now watch this here. Hold on. And I know you're very good in your heart in that regards. But sometimes you speak things because it's never happened. But if they happened in real time, you say, nah, I see what Rev was talking about. As a matter of fact, I would venture to say, even you, St. Landry, even you will turn the lights off and say, shh. Now watch this. what makes this even, what makes us even more callous, watch me. What makes us even more callous is the other disciples who begin to wear on us with their own insensitivities. I must say this, and this happens at the church. You could have some good-hearted people, some God-fearing, holy, loving, very sensitive people. And you could have people who are Christians, but they are not so spiritually sensitive for whatever reason. And the callous Christians will begin to speak doubt into the hearts and spirits of the sensitive Christians. And they'll be like, your wife will look at you, your husband will look at you and say, you gonna be a sucker again?
I'll tell you, don't preach that
No, you'll be look here. You remember last week when you gave them that bag of groceries? Guess what? They were selling them because they got an addiction. Hello, somebody. Hello. And so now I'm not as sensitive because I feel like wisdom has spoken. But it still may be wrong. I'm trying to get you to understand that there is a level of spiritual sensitivity where we all check off and leave sensitivity and become callous. And so Jesus pauses here, and the disciples jump in and they beseech him and they say, send her away. Speak and tell her to go. Now hold on. I told you Jesus was doing some things here that I typically don't see him doing in the scripture. The disciples want her to go. Now, finally, Jesus decides to respond. When he speaks, in the 24th verse, he answered and said, listen to this. I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Let me translate what he's saying. I'm telling you, I have not seen this disposition, this position Jesus takes. I have not seen this in the text anywhere. It might be, but I haven't seen it. He says to her, the Canaanite woman, the Gentile, he says to her, I ain't here for y'all. That's what he's saying, Bennett Landry. That's what he's saying. Read the text. He says, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He's clearly telling her, my purpose here is for the lost house of Israel, which she is not a member of. Which would be the equivalent of me saying to somebody who comes here looking for benevolence, I'm sorry, you got to be a member of St. Mary. You read it? Did you read it? I want to make sure you read it for yourself. Jesus is saying that. This ain't Simon Peter. This ain't Judas the thief. This is not Doubting Thomas. This is Jesus the Messiah saying, I'm not here for you. Brian, you know I respect you, man.
Yeah, man, appreciate it.
St. Landry is confusing. When St. Landry gets on that level, it's a level. Now I'm a disciple listening to Jesus saying this thing. And you know what I'm thinking to myself? Every Jewish hair on my chest begins to stand up because I feel validated. I feel vindicated. Yeah. Let them know you belong to us. Jesus is massaging my spiritual Insensitivity. You ain't like me to say that, huh? Is that what he doing?
But one thing he didn't do, he didn't send our way.
Hold on. You trying to fast forward. I'm dealing with the text as it unfolds itself. Jesus says, he looks at the woman and tells the woman, I'm not here. The reason why I'm here is for the lost house of Israel. Bam. What is Jesus doing in the text to tell this woman this? Because I thought he preached love. Whosoever will, let him come. I thought he came so that all might have life and life more abundantly. I thought he came as the door for any man.
He was pressing her faith.
Oh, Lord. That boy said
He was pressing her.
he was pressing her faith. Just her faith.
And the disciples. Because I really felt like he said, he sent that out to the disciples before it was for them. I felt like when he said that, he was speaking mostly to the disciples.
Ooh.
You could say Jesus was doing a lot of things.
See, that, I'm trying to tell you, this text really threw me for a loop. I might need to study that some more before I came here tonight, because I ain't never heard Jesus talk like this before in my entire life. I ain't heard nobody ever preach.
He could be teaching those others that could be determined.
Hold on. It's getting in my mind and my spirit now. Because sometimes your arguments against sensitivity can be legit, but because it's legit, should it be applied? Ooh.
Doc, what you in 24?
Yes, sir. I'm in 24.
He said, but he answered and he said, I'm not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay, you're dealing with just that right there. Correct? Right?
Yeah. I asked Matthew Henry to make sure that I was getting that thing right. In his commentary, he told me, yeah, you're right, preacher. Jesus was saying to her, and then listen, let me go on and move on. Then she came to him, regardless of what he just told her, and she worshiped him, and still said,
Help me.
Lord, help me. Hold on. He comes back and vindicates insensitivity spiritually. He vindicates it. He validates it. Then he says, this is what he said. And he said, it is not meat. This word meaning it ain't right. To take the children's bread. Who are the children?
The children of Israel.
The children of Israel. That's correct. And cast it. What did he say?
To the dogs.
Did he just compare that woman and every Gentile? In his metaphor, if we break his metaphor down that he gives of bread and children and dogs, you have to say that the children's bread is Christ, because he's broken. We have to say the children represent the children of Israel. Dave, you said it right. So then in the metaphor, who are the dogs? Ooh. He said it ain't right to give the children's bread to dogs. Look what she said in the 27th verse.
The woman of Canada, the dogs you calling the woman of Canada.
Of Canada. Look what she said. Hold on, because I don't want you to think I'm twisting this thing. And she said, you're right, Lord. And then she spun that thing and said, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table.
Whatever it takes, you will to help her daughter out.
Ooh, that's a great interpretation of it. Even the dog. If you want to put me on the level of a dog, roo, roo.
For my daughter's sake, I do.
Give me whatever you'll give me. So, that this not this is Jesus spiritually insensitive. Come on, Saint Landry.
It seems like she'd be willing to accept anything.
Well, yeah, you're right. Credit to her. Okay, I applaud her. But what I'm questioning is, what in the world is Jesus doing here spiritually? Is he so tired that he himself is insensitive?
I think he's teaching everybody that's around there a lesson.
So, doctor, you saying he could be, you saying he could be insensitive?
I'm asking you. I don't know. I'm asking because it's puzzling to me when I compare this to what Jesus has preached and what he has shown up until this point. I'm caught because I'm not understanding his response.
I think he was responding to the disciples. I don't think he was talking to them.
That he's not there just for Israel.
Well, so he is. So are you saying that he is being insensitive in his depiction, the way that he's displaying it? He's purposefully being insensitive for their sake.
Yeah, he's trying to make them.
So then he is hurting her to help them. That don't seem right. That don't seem.
Say that, yes.
Gail, that seem right to you? Jesus, you hurt somebody, you call somebody a dog, compare them to a dog to help somebody else? That don't seem right to me. But that's what it seems like it's going on.
Listen, you gotta
Come on,
understand
Jay.
why I say he was speaking to his disciples, because picture like this. Here we have a stranger that's not a part of us, that's outside, supposed to be outside of the Gentiles, the Gentile race.
Outside the Israelites.
The Israelite race. And she's coming to us for help. But his disciples were being insensitive about the situation. So what he did, he spoke to them. He spoke on their level of thinking.
But he didn't do it. My issue here is, why didn't he beseech them on a sidewalk meeting so he won't offend her?
Because he understood what she could take. He knew how much he could press.
Oh, now you're with me, David. You're bringing me into some greater understanding.
She was sold out. He understood.
Jesus knew her like he knew them.
So in order for them to get the bigger picture and understand the situation that what was going on right there, the circumstances and what was actually happening, he had to break them for them to look, well, hold on.
I feel you, cuz, but I don't think he was talking to the disciples nor her individually. Because if you read the text, it says that the disciples shunned him, they get rid of him. And he didn't say who he had, it said he just answered. The text says what he answered. Then directed who he was saying it to. He said, "It is not me to take the children's bread and cast it to the dogs." Okay. Then he also answered and he said, "I'm not sent unto the lost, but I'm sent here for the house of Israel." Okay. So it wasn't like he was directly talking to her nor talking to the disciples. He was answering. He was answering. When he answered, she could have took the answer like he was talking to her, so therefore she came and pleaded a little bit hard. Here we go, check it out. Drunk man come through the door right now. Drunk, lit, full of legal, full of everything. The drunk man don't want to talk to none of us to the table. man come and high and drunk, and he comes and he asks Pastor Williams, help. Now we all looking at who? We're looking at Pastor Williams because the man asked you. But now Pastor Williams do this. Hush mouth. He ain't saying nothing. Now we looking at Red. And the drunk man cutting up. And we like, put that man out here. What that man tell the church up, put him out. And Rev speak up and he said, I'm here for the congregation of St. Mary. But the drunk man presses his way, not to us. He said, but please. Now what did he say? He's here for the house of St. Mary. Who he talking to, the drunk man or he talking to us? He made a statement. So the drunk man automatically figured, oh, he's trying to get rid of him. And he pressed his way even more.
But let me pause, because what David is saying is he already knows. The drunk man already, the pastor already knows, based upon what he sees in the drunk man, that the words he just said, I'm here for the house, is not going to offend him to the point to whereas it's going to give him the benediction and he's going to turn around and walk out. And so he does take the opportunity to make the statement which addresses the house and settles the house and confirms his commitment to the house. But he also knowing in taking that position, it's not going to run the one making the request. That's what David is saying. He knows that he's not going to.
He's not going to shut the press. Okay? It's not going to shut it. Okay. But because it didn't shut him, there was a lesson taught in both.
Yes.
And the lesson taught was just what Brother David just said. The lesson taught that I know how much the drunk man can take. I know he's not going nowhere. But at the same time, it's going to teach my disciples the faith if somebody presses forward.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. I'm asking a question, but I'm actually making a statement. When I apply this in my relationship with God, could it be that sometimes God's insensitivity, in my opinion, is God being at his most sensitive? I'm gonna pause that and replay it. Watch me. Sometimes I perceive that God is being insensitive to my request. But hold on. But here's the statement, though, Brian. Here's the statement. Sometimes I perceive that God's insensitivity is rude, but in truth, God's insensitivity is the most sensitive thing he could do at that moment for me. Okay. That's the point I'm making. Because sometimes when I'm thinking about God's responses to my requests and his actions and reactions, not that God ever reacts because he just acts. It's just a reaction to me because I'm trying to catch up. But anyway, sometimes I believe God is being insensitive. But God ain't being insensitive. God is never insensitive. He is always sensitive, even if he feels insensitive.
Jesus was affecting everyone that was around there just with them answers.
Absolutely. So I'm saying to you, watch this here. Every time Jesus throws a reason why not. Yeah. She'll throw another card out to try to trump that one. And every time she trumps the reason why not, then her why gets stronger. And watch this. Watch me. Watch me. Let me give you the indication that it's getting stronger.
Yeah.
Because when you follow the scripture, as she opens her mouth, her level of humility, help me, Holy Ghost, gets deeper and deeper. So that when she gets down to her lowest humility, which is, okay, if you want to call me a dog, I'll be a dog.
Yeah.
When she gets to that level, God not only sets her daughter free of the devils, but he proclaims her faith
Yeah, it's great.
is great.
Good.
Man, that's powerful for me. Because she's, listen, no matter, listen, I don't care what y'all think about me, disciples, if I got to get down on my face to get the results that I need, if I got to continue to go through your why nots, you can give me all your protocol. You can give me all your established traditions. You can give me all of your preconditioned minds and stereotypes and whatever. It don't matter. I'm going to keep on getting lower and lower and lower until I get to the point to whereas you're going to have to respond. You're going to have to bless me. The disciples are witnesses to this whole setup. And they see her going from barging her way in to enduring their request for a sidewalk meeting to get rid of her. She goes through all of their attitudes and their preconceived thoughts and their stereotypes. She goes through the traditional law of Moses and all of its teachings as to the differences being separation between Gentiles and Jews. She goes through all of that, and she does not try to go over it. Spiritually, she goes under it. And that's when he blesses her. And he speaks to the disciples, to us, and to her. I got to give it to you. You got some faith with you. Questions or comments?